Today we are going to be welcoming Reverend Sharon Flynn back to the podium to be our speaker for the day. Reverend Sharon Flynn is a minister with the Metaphysical Chapel of Life and has been a chapel member since 1994. In 1999, she became a novitiate minister through the Metaphysical Chapel of Life, and in 2002, she was fully ordained through our mother church, the Church of Enlightenment. She has owned and operated Hypnosis and Healing Centers since 2002, locally and in other areas, using her gifts and abilities as a spiritual director and consultant, an advanced energy healer, and a certified hypnotherapist, and a teacher of classes and workshops. Sharon's prior career in the medical field as a radiology technologist of 25 years helped shape her natural healing abilities and understand the human form. Here at the chapel, she is our minister who oversees spiritual healing, teaches spiritual healing classes, and also facilitates seasonal celebrations at the chapel. Sharon has experienced several NDEs, or near-death experiences, as well as numerous expanded spiritual experiences that guided her on this path of alternative healing modalities and facilitating change and soul growth for others. She's blessed with 3 grown married children, 2 sons and a daughter, with 4 grandsons and 2 granddaughters. And I invite you now to join me in welcoming Reverend Sharon Flynn to our virtual podium today.
Thank you so much, Stanley. Am I up there? Yeah, I got my video and my audio. Good morning, everyone. I hope everybody's doing well in this weather. It's been quite intense over the last 3 weeks. Um, so usually when I start off with prayer, I start off any talk with prayer. So let us pray. Father, Mother God, Heavenly Creator, I ask for the connection to be made to the higher self. And as we connect, we invite and invoke the presence of the angels, the guides, and all loving beings of the light that are here today. I ask that I be utilized as the purest form of this channel, of this work, and that this be done for the free will, for the good of all, in the Christ light, Christ's name. Amen. So good morning, everyone. It's been quite a busy weekend for me. We had that event of the prophecy forecast event, and that was very successful, and I'm glad to be back today. My talk today is basically, I would like to title it Spiritual Evolution Has Begun. And what we talked about at the prophecy is that there's a big shift going on in consciousness. And that change is basically going to be very apparent. And most people already feel it's apparent within, especially all the chapel family and the extended chapel family. And it is very felt, and it's very, when I say time has shifted, things are fast, things are slow, things are moving in a direction. And maybe some of your friends have moved away. Some of your friends have joined you in different ways. So always look for that soul family connection. And that's going to get more and more evident that the vibrational match of who you are to other people are going to be more collectively gathered, if you would. And the people that have their vibrational match that may not be in the same frequency as you, it doesn't mean right or wrong or anything like that. Everybody's evolving in different stages, and that's literally it has to be that way. So I would like to read a little bit of something I read the other night, and this is Pam Gregory, and it was a summary of her 2026 summary of the year. So one of the things that she says that I want to bring up, and it definitely applies to all of us here at Chapel, there's going to be an increased sensitivity and consciousness. So that means that the psychic sensitivity and our clear senses, like clear cognizance, audience, clear sentience, and clairvoyance is going to increase. So we're going to be hearing, we're going to be sensing, we're going to be seeing more and more, and that increase will lead to more channeling of beings around us. I would call them galactic beings. I would call also more of the beings that are our loved ones on the other side. You'll be able to connect to them. But the thing about the star families and the living conscious beings will also be more apparent in communication and connection. So, and you will find that linear time will continue to warp and dissolve as humanity moves to higher frequencies and dimensions. And that's a very interesting thing. Linear time, what we believe is linear in our world, is going to be shifted because we can be a multidimensional being all the same time and connect to different frequencies and dimensional planes as it comes up. And the other thing that I would like to just touch on is that there's going to be a strong revolutionary shift in the energy and the power of people. So people are going to be equal, basically. But the interesting thing to me about that is that we are discerning our truth and we're discerning the value in others and what they say. And so discernment, it always comes from the heart center. Um, so as I speak about the evolution and the rising of consciousness, how we're going to navigate through that, how we're going to move through this collectively and individually, and how can we prepare ourselves for this shift? It's going to shift either fast or slow according to where you are in your world. So navigating through this increase in sensitivity and empathy and moving into higher states is going to be something that is going to be right in front of us every single day. So as I said, everyone's on a different path, and that includes vibration, a vibrational frequency, our focus in this world, our belief systems, and our past. So everybody's going to be moving into that shift. And so everybody's going to be working. I want to leave that word out. We're going to be aware of the changes within us as we release the old patterns in our world. So we're going to be moving to a time where the evolution of Christ consciousness, and as it gets stronger, as the light comes in more, we're going to experience, as Stanley said in his meditation, which, by the way, was a beautiful meditation and very, very heartfelt. And thank you, Stanley. We're going to be experiencing emotions, and they're going to come up, and you're going to feel them, and then you're going to be really allowing yourself to move away from, I mean, you're going to feel them, acknowledge them, and release them. And emotions are emoting. And I know I've said this a million times here at Chapel, but emoting is emotion, and we're going to be moving through them, feeling them fully, identifying that. When I say identify, oh, I feel sad, I feel guilty. You may want to be curious where that began. So we're going to go over that more. And then we're going to be moving into a higher sense of connectiveness, heart-centered energy. That means love is the more of a focus as things start to evolve. And this is this year, okay? We're not talking about next year or the year next. So I would love everybody to be prepared for this change. So the emotions that tend to come up will be grief and the big one, the shame and the blame. Everybody's been raised with that. The sadness, the guilt, and they all, if you can identify them and you can feel them and you can release them as if they're just flying away from your heart center, that would be really, really helpful. So, and that could be in increments. It could be, you might have a whole weekend. We're kind of shut in today. We can feel the things that we need to feel. People are so wonderful. They go around and trigger your hidden shadows or your hidden wounds, if you would. And they may not they have no intention of doing that. And the other thing, they're serving you and you're serving them. So what I notice is a lot of people with different vibrational frequencies will trigger other people, either repel them or want them to come together. So it's going to be an interesting couple of months through this year. I feel like by July we're going to be moving into a new time frame where that collective has risen up to a certain point in collective consciousness where we can move forward a little faster. I was talking to a friend the other day. I guess it was Saturday or it was Friday, I'm not sure. And she said something that really brought awareness to our wordage. There's a process that is called neuro linguistic programming, NLP. I hardly say the whole word. And and it's really kind of interesting the wordage we use when we identify our wounds or we identify our emotions, as if there's something wrong with us. And the truth is that we are whole and complete with God's love in every cell in our body. And we are literally letting our ego mind and the wounds that were placed because we adapted to the circumstances in our lives. And if anybody knows Gabor Mate, it's Gabormate. Gabor Mate. He is a saint about understanding your words and your understanding. So the thing that my friend said was and I brought Gabor up because this is part of my talk of how he said it. My friend said, in the spiritual community, when we realize we have a wound or a pattern, we always say to ourselves, we got to work on that. Well, I don't know about everybody else. I love my work, but it is work, okay? It is a responsibility. It is a demand from my energy. And everybody else that loves their work understands that, but also there's a lot of people that are dissatisfied with their work because we're moving very much into a new realm, a new whole dimensional plane. So as we go through this, we can change those wordings. And that's what NLP does. It changes the way you say things with different words. So work is heavy and work is responsibility and work is just, ugh. So, and also look into changing that and changing some wordage that make you feel, lighter, make you feel excited and challenged to do this work. I mean, this type of um, process for yourself. So, in that, when we change that programming, get curious about it. This is part of my Gabor Mate's energy. Be be curious. Be curious about why you feel a certain way or why you say a certain things and change it to make it feel lighter. So, I've got to go to work. I mean, I can't do it because I got to go to work. Well, that makes you feel heavier. Okay. So I'll choose to do that when I get off of my job. I'll choose to do it when I do X, Y, and Z. There's tons and tons and tons of examples, but I don't want to focus on just the wordage. I want you to be aware if the words that you say to yourself, negative self-talk, different ways that you don't look forward to something that you're getting ready to do. All of this has to do with that mindset within you. And so to change that mindset and change the way you look at your world, look at yourself in the world, it needs to be, you have to bring in a certain type of awareness. and the awareness of what your thoughts and your connections and your wounds feel in your heart center. So if you operate with the gratitude and the thankfulness, then you're operating in the heart center. And that's the easiest way to me, to discern where you are. And I do believe that we have many different ways that we are bringing information into ourselves and processing. So the good thing is, what can we do to change that? And of course, you know, change those words with the kind of, connotation that means positive energies to you. Each day in every way, it's going to be a great day. So we're recognizing the things that keep us low, keep us down, keep us vibrationally in an interesting frequency. So we want to raise our frequency up to a higher vibration. And so one of the things that I find is that we can get stuck on the victim mode. Oh, somebody did this to us. Somebody did that. Somebody said this to us. We're all going to go through that because that's a kind of a first response to how people behave around us and how we behave around other people. And what I find is that the more curious that you are about your choices of words for yourself or choices of reactions to yourself, it's best to be curious about it. So one of the things that I watched in an interview is that, say you got angry at somebody and you behaved in a way that you're not proud of yourself. So, and then you're going, why did I do that? Why did I behave that way? It's like an accusation. It's like, oh, I'm blaming myself. Yeah. And so, oh, I got to do that work. Yeah. And you can follow that right along. I'm sure everybody has had those kind of experiences about self-blame and self-shame. So Gabor, um, he said, drop the victim, completely let it go. And what I believe about victimization is that it is exactly what that is, self-blame. So get curious. Instead of why am I behaving that way, you ask yourself, I wonder why I'm behaving that way. I wonder where that came from. What part of me that would behave that way? And so, as I said, drop the victim energy and be aware that there's probably something way back in your childhood or in your adulthood that you had to adapt to a certain level of trauma. And when I say adapt, you had to change you. You had to recreate some way of coping with it when you couldn't cope with it. As a child, you watched your parents argue, it made you feel unsafe, it made you feel, like, what can I do about it? Maybe it's my fault. Maybe I can help them. And of course, that's going way beyond boundaries for a child, but there are plenty of adults these days feeling that they could have done something different in their childhood to help the parents in your world. And maybe you didn't have that, but maybe you had something else. So look at the your past, and when you have those experiences, you always feel, especially as a child, when certain circumstances happen, that maybe you don't have any idea where help would be available. If you can't go to your parents, you had no idea. Maybe you never felt safe to ask for help. Maybe it also led to, and I know this one well, I have to do it myself, by myself, and I have to get it done because there's nobody else to help me with it. Um, And those are thoughts I want to really let go of. And I hope that everybody else wants to too. And those thoughts create a frequency and an energy that goes outward. And they're not just little things, they will get reinforced when you put that energy out. And when I say get reinforced, you'll be given, proven, you'll prove yourself right if you believe that there's nobody there to help you or you're not feeling safe. Um, so let's bring this all together. Let's go back to self-communication. And we're moving into a spiritual world where self-communication and frequency is all going to be all tied up together. We are bringing in this vibration. And I believe that the chapel and everyone connected to the chapel are brought here as a soul group, as a soul family to anchor this light here as leadership into the future. We're ahead of we're ahead of probably 90% of or 80% of the 8 billion people here on this planet. I would like to believe it's more. And I do know that in the next few months, it's going to grow exponentially. And people will want to understand themselves and want to understand why they feel so lost, why they feel so um, different than everybody else, that it wasn't there before. So, one of the things that when you communicate with oneself, I saw it as I broke it up into three phases. Um, as we have, our higher self. Our higher self is connected to the pureness of our soul and the oneness of God. And that's where you want to live because that's going to bring you up to this frequency higher and higher and higher, um, because that's where we're going. So that's the God self to me. That's the one love connection and interconnections with everyone. So now the ego mind. I talk about the ego mind a lot. The ego mind I always hear, is the war between our ears because it's never going to say anything nice about ourselves. But with the ego mind, we also have the subconscious mind and the unconscious mind, where those parts of us that never got soothed or comforted will come up to our reality. And we'll either struggle with the ego mind or go to that part of ourselves. As Gabor creates that as an adaptation of self. And that means that you may not know why you didn't consult or ask for help with a parent or somebody in your life, and then you just coped with it, and that happened and created a part of you that was on a separation. I call it an emotional frequent fragment, and those emotional fragments can be the way to start the healing process. The emotional fragments are just caught in time. They are a part of you that is grieving, a part of you that is sad, a part of you that feels rejected, a part of you um, that didn't ever get what they wanted. Which would be the bottom line is love. And everything that is about that adaptive self is about loving that oneself, that one part of you, and then bring it into you, integrate it. Um, I know I've talked about this before, but I want to go just a little bit deeper with it. So go into a meditation, feel that part of you that you know that needs some healing. And you may not know what part of you needs healing. You could go into a meditation and ask for that part to come forward, that is fragmented. You could see cords coming out from you, and you pick a cord and you travel to that cord. That part of you may be lost in time, and I mean it is lost in time, and it's in a kind of a dark bubble, and you ask an angel to bring it up to awareness that you're here to heal this part of you, and you have a communication. So this self-communication is going to be the the goal to move on to different frequencies and elevate yourself to a higher connection to God. So, but as you understand that God has the oneness energy and the love energy, and none of those really relate to being loved. Okay. They are being rejected. They're being cast aside, if you would. So working with uh, your emotional self, it can peel off layers very quickly, and the wounds or the triggers will be dissolved and released. So, um, so look at those parts of you that you may call wounded. They're wounded because you reacted to something in your youth, and you know, whatever's reacting to you now is more than likely in your youth. So, love those parts of you. I love the meditation purposes of the Hawaiian Huna prayer, and it. So when you go to those wounded parts of you, and you're in front of those wounded parts, and you understand what they absorbed and created errors, in an error, because they didn't understand the circumstances and they believed X, Y, and Z, if you would. And what you would want to do is talk to that part of you, communicate, open that channel of communication and tell them that you love them. So Huna is, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and I'm grateful and thankful. So each one of those need to be addressed with that wounded self. And when you address that wounded self and you invite that part of you, him or her, back into your heart loved, that is the goal for this next couple of months to next 6 months, to heal that wounded self. And the biggest understanding is that when we are going to be merging into this new beautiful world, I call it heaven on earth. It's going to be a creative world. It's going to be a world of chaotic energies, pretty much, I believe, until October, where everyone in a mass consciousness is moving this energy and creating the healing that needs to take place, where we are whole and complete to I'm lost. Okay. I'm lost to being whole and complete. So, with this, really pay attention to your words you say to yourself, lack of self care. Boy, is that easy to do these days. Everything's running pretty quickly, and there's scattered energies because our parts of us are moving up to a dimensional plane, and parts of us are still wanting to stay and to do that healing work of those selves that have been fragmented. It's so important to come into their alignment, and as if there is a need for help with that and you're stuck in this place that you cannot do that, then you will be able to ask for help. You will receive whatever it is, and people will be placed in your alignment to be able to help you. Um, and that means that you have to change that part. I have to do it myself, because you can also I'm going to invite people into my world to be of assistance to me. I'm going to invite somebody to do this. Everything that you put this intention toward, we're creating in we're manifesting things, people coming into our lives, situations coming into our lives, more and more. And feel it when you want to create a helper around you. Say you need somebody to help you with your lawn or your yard, and then start talking to people that have your vibration, and then voila, you'll have somebody to help you. It may be somebody that you pay for, or maybe a friend that will help you, but you will find that will actually come in fast and more effectively, and more presently too, and always be in the present moment as much as you can during this phase of change. Uh, when you're in the present moment, you actually are aware of the thinking process that you have. You're aware of that connection to your heart, to God, and the the love that you can invoke just in your day to day, even in your home. You know, I just am so grateful for my two dogs and my cat. They they're stuck like glue to me these days because I exchange a lot of love with them. Just love them. And you can see the birds. I mean, feed the birds and enjoy their wonderful connections and communication because they do communicate. And, you know, there's so many things that we're blessed with in this world. Um, the struggles that most people have in the world, we don't have here in the States. We know we're going to get some food. We know we have housing. Most of us do. We know that we have people that are in our lives and are concerned and want to help us, and we want to help them. And we don't struggle for the basic needs. But when you look at what we are struggling with, it could be a false belief about who we are. And I love for that brokenness that we believe about ourselves is eradicated and healed, and that the wounds are stitched together. And love is the key to that. So when you meditate, find that love for yourself, fill up a little battery. I see it as in the solar plexus in the heart center, and fill up a little battery so you can enjoy that amazing, amazing experience of being in the present moment with the love of God within your heart and that communication. And it will lead you wherever you need to go. That guidance of asking God to guide my day, to guide my words, my actions, my choices, my thoughts is the anchor that keeps me going every day. It's also the anchor that allows me to channel those words and that connection and that wisdom to others. And the other thing, and this is something that Stanley said in his meditation, ground yourself. The consciousness of the earth is rising exponentially as well as we are. And it goes a lot easier if you really connect to earth. There is an interconnection of the earth in every place you go. It's like a grid, and it rises from the floor or underneath the ground all the way up. And the plants communicate within each other. And they even have the wisdom to make sure that this little tree over here gets supplied with enough water so it can thrive. And the whole community of a piece of land with the trees and the plants and the ground and the leaves and the interconnection of animals and insects always talk to each other. And so when you go out into nature, that's what you interweave your energy field with. And it can bring quite a lot of peace. I have a tree that I've named. I've named all my trees in my yard and, things like that. But there's a tree along my walk that I always communicate with. And it's soothing and comforting. So find that connection and encourage you to look for those wounds within you, but be curious of why you have them. Curious. Um, why would I behave that way? Why would I feel that way? What would create that in me? And just be curious of maybe go back with that feeling and see where that would take you as a memory. And you may not have it right away. You may have if you put that curiousness out there, it will come back to you easily. Maybe in a light bulb moment is what I call it. Oh, yeah, that's right. That reminds me of a time when this happened in my life. And then you can go back to that time and see if you had a part of you that fragmented during that. Um, and then dissolve it as the way of the Huna prayer, and turn that part of you back into light and integrate her back into your heart. So that's pretty much what I have to say. That's what God guided me to point on, because this is a big world that we're coming into, a changing world. And I don't look at the chaos that's going to happen. Tearing down of the old systems are essential for us to move forward. And it feels so important to focus on the inner work within, we're not going to say inner work, the inner curiosity of the behavior within oneself, and to be aware of yourself in your feeling and express love and fill your heart with that love as a beacon of light. Fill the stores you walk in, feel fill your home with love. Fill If you go visit a friend, fill that home with love. So wherever you can go, whatever you can do, please, please be the light and the beacon for God's love. So I give you thanks and for listening, and blessing everyone. Thank you so much.